In 1962, I was invited to head the National School of Drama. And I agreed to do so because I wanted to work on a national scale. I considered it as sort of a challenge to be able to produce actors who would tackle the problems of the theater conditions in the country. And therefore, the basic idea was to frame a syllabus that would serve the needs of the country as a whole. What we needed really was people strongly rooted in their own culture. The culture of the classical Indian theatre, the Sanskrit theatre, that of the traditional theatre in the various regions of the country, that of the contemporary Indian theatre from all the regional languages, from Marathi, Bengali, Gujarati, Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, and so on. That of the Western theatre, because after all, the Western theatre has had such an important influence on the Indian theatre. And therefore, the theatre from the Greeks right down to the present day, particularly the theatre of Bertolt Brecht, because his ideas were significant in terms of social relevance, in terms of the use of theatrical conventions. He'd been greatly influenced by the Oriental theatre himself. The theatre of Japan and China, the Asian traditions, which are so important constituent element in the relationship of Buddhism, for example, having gone from this country, gone to China and Japan, the manner it was reflected in their own theatrical culture. But while all this was all very well in terms of theory, how do you think of it in terms of practice? The theatre is a practical art. How do you translate all this knowledge in practical terms? And therefore, the courses in acting, the courses in theatre techniques, in stage design, in costume design, in lighting, in makeup, had all got to be related to this understanding, the basic understanding of the theory and the ability to communicate it in practical terms. Training for the theatre cannot be restricted to the classroom. It's very important for the student to appear before the public, and that he can only do in an actual theatre building. While we built a small little theatre upstairs, breaking the wall between two rooms and providing the possibility then of putting up a stage, a small intimate stage for 75 spectators, we felt also the need to provide training to the students in acting in the open air. And when students start working with their own hands on a design such as this, implementing the ideas, learning through trial and error how to adjust things, ultimately I think they come up with a solution which is much better than anything that a highly trained architect could provide. Now, even a simple little thing like the number of steps that you take as you come down, one step at a time, so that even as the audience walks down in the dark, it doesn't stumble. These are small little matters, but these are only things that people in the theatre concerned with absolutely significant practical problems have to take into account. When you talk about the relationship of the stage to the audience, you're thinking in terms of intimacy, you're thinking in terms of communication. How does an actor on a stage like this, which is something like 70 feet long, how does he communicate to an audience which is seated from that end right up to this? The question of acoustics, the question of the projection of the voice, the question of the projection of the personality of the actor. And then if you regard the absolute bareness and the simplicity of the stage, then you begin to realize that the challenge to the actor is on his performance. A tremendous responsibility devolves upon the people of the theatre, upon the director, upon the actor. The theatre man is the interpreter of his times. He is the conscience of his race. What kind of awareness and insight does he bring to the problems of his day? What kind of humility does he bring to his task? What kind of understanding does he bring to the interpretation of a text so that it becomes relevant and meaningful to his contemporary audience? That is the basic problem of theatre.
এবিসিডির নতুন এপিসোডে আপনাদের স্বাগত। গত 4 আগস্ট আমাদের ছেড়ে চলে গেলেন ইব্রাহিম আল কাসি, আধুনিক ভারতীয় থিয়েটারের রূপকার। লন্ডনের রয়্যাল স্কুল অফ ড্রামাটিক আর্টস থেকে পড়াশুনো শেষ করে দেশে ফিরে উনি পরিকল্পনা করেন একটা ন্যাশনাল থিয়েটার ইনস্টিটিউটের, হ্যাঁ, এনএসডি ওনারই মস্তিষ্ক প্রসূত। সেই সময় অফার থাকা সত্ত্বেও সেই প্রতিষ্ঠানের ডিরেক্টর হিসেবে তিনি দায়িত্ব নেননি। তার বয়স কম ছিল, তিনি নিজে থেকে স্বেচ্ছায় তখন সেই পদ থেকে সরে দাঁড়িয়েছিলেন। পরে 62-তে এই ন্যাশনাল স্কুল অফ ড্রামা এনএসডির দায়িত্ব নেন এবং 77 পর্যন্ত দীর্ঘ সময় উনি ডিরেক্টর থাকেন। এবং মিস্টার রতন থিয়াম থেকে শুরু করে VV করন্ত, প্রসন্নজি, রামগোপাল বাজাজি, নাসিরুদ্দিন শাহ, ওমপুরি, রাজ বাব্বর, এরকম বহু নাম, অনুপম খের, এরকম বহু নাম রয়েছেন বিভিন্ন থিয়েটারের বিভিন্ন ফিল্ডে, ডিজাইনার, ডিরেক্টর, অ্যাক্টর, যারা কিন্তু আল কাজের সুযোগ্য ছাত্র। আমরা তার দেওয়া পুরনো কিছু ইন্টারভিউ, দুষ্প্রাপ্য কিছু ইন্টারভিউ, সেগুলো আপনাদের সামনে রাখবো, কারণ সেই মানুষটার নিজের যখন কথা বলেন বা বলেছেন, সেই কথাগুলোই বোধহয় আমাদের কাছে একটা লেসন। অতএব শুধু স্মৃতিচারণ না করে আসুন তার দর্শন, তার ভাবনা চিন্তা, তিনি কিভাবে দেখেন থিয়েটারকে, সেটা আমরা একটু শুনি এবং সেখান থেকে যদি কিছু শেখা যায়। আসুন।
In 1954, there was the idea of a national school of drama was born in this Sangeet Natak Academy. So the idea was, and they had heard about this very young man in Bombay who was very interested in training. And so they approached Al-Qazi to formulate a syllabus for the going to be National School of Drama. So Al-Qazi did. He formulated a very elaborate scheme which will be the curriculum for the NSD. Then a couple of years later, the NSD was established, etc. And they asked him to head it. At which point he said, no, I'm so sorry, I can't do that because A, I'm very young, and B, I don't feel that I'm ready for this kind of a job. So they went on approaching him for many years. And then finally, it was only in the 60s, in 1961, that my father finally said yes. When he came to Delhi, he was only 36 years old, and he was shocked with the kind of theatre that was going on over here, because already things had, moved on in Bombay, because that has a very alive theatre scene. So one of the first things that he did was to select a play like Andha Yug and Dharamveer Bharti's verse play, blank verse play, and he thought of staging it in the grand ruins of Firuz Shah Kotla. The production was quite spectacular because, for one, it was an anti-war play, so it had a very strong theme. And so this, after World War II, was a question that concerned a lot of people, that there shouldn't be a Cold War and then there shouldn't be another war. And so the play had a kind of a political echoes in people's minds. And they also, people were very enamored that, oh my God, how can we see a play in a ruin, and what is it going to be? So it was quite a unique event. And Jawaharlal Nehru said he would be very keen to come and see this event. The day he came late. He came a little late, and my father was a stickler for timing. And he said, listen, everything has to, if we say it's a 6:30 show, it has to begin at 6:30, finish. I don't care who's come. I'm not interested in people come, VIPs. So he started. And then suddenly flurry of activity, who's coming in? So Nehru ji aa gaye, and then he was seated. So my father, I think, just to be polite, he stood up and he asked the audience, "Excuse me, the Prime Minister has come. So do you mind very much if we start the play again?" So, the audience said, "No, no, of course you must do that," and all that. And so the play was begun again.
इब्राहिम अलकाज़ी, वो नाम जिसके बिना 20वीं सदी के हिंदुस्तानी थिएटर का जिक्र पूरा नहीं होता। इब्राहिम अलकाज़ी 1962 से 1977 तक दिल्ली में राष्ट्रीय नाट्य विद्यालय के निदेशक रहे। कला की विभिन्न विधाओं के संरक्षक और कला प्रेमी इब्राहिम अलकाज़ी ने अपने सक्रिय नाट्यकर्म के दिनों में कई यादगार नाटक किए। 50 से भी ज्यादा ये नाटक आज भी मील के पत्थर माने जाते हैं। नाटक और फिल्मों में उनके तराशे हुए कई अभिनेता और निर्देशक आज शोहरत की बुलंदियों पर हैं। बहुत बहुत स्वागत है इब्राहिम अलकाज़ी साहब आपका प्रोग्राम में। सबसे पहले हमको ये बताइए कि थिएटर में ये जो आपका सफ़र शुरू हुआ वो कब और किन वजूहात से शुरू हुआ होगा?
मेरे वालिद साहब अरबस्तान के थे, मेरी वालदा भी, और वो दोनों जन साथ में दिल्ली आ गए, माफ़ करना, बम्बई आ गए, और बम्बई के बाद वो पूना पहुंच गए। और मेरी एजुकेशन जो थी वो इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज में थी, सिर्फ इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज में। तो उसका मतलब ये होता था कि घर में भी मेरे एक किस्म की ट्रेनिंग होती थी अरबी लैंग्वेज में और कुरान शरीफ में, और जब हम स्कूल जाते थे वो सिर्फ अंग्रेज़ी में ही गुफ्तगू मुझे मौका मिलता था। उन दिनों में जंग भी, वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 था उस वक्त, तो काफ़ी शिद्दत थी डिसिप्लिन में, और लेकिन उसके बावजूद ये बहुत अच्छे लोग थे, कम्प्लीटली डिवोटेड टू देयर वर्क, very compassionate, very understanding, and we were able to communicate effectively. And for them, theatre was very, very, very important. And they gave me opportunities to perform in the theatre. And so St. Vincent's High School, in which I was a student, had a very fine reputation for its theatre background. My father felt it was very important for me to have a classical education in Arabic because I'm an Arab, and Arabic is the mother tongue. And the Quran Sharif is also Arabic. So on the one hand, while I had a St. Vincent's High School for training in English, and then later on also in French, because also in English you had to have a second language when you were in that kind of institution. At home, all my training was in Arabic, completely in Arabic. So to a certain extent, while there were certain limitations to this, it opened up a whole world to me. It opened up half of mankind to me. But in the family, in the compound that we had, it was a very, very large compound. There were Parsis who were living over there. There were Anglo-Indians who were living over there, whose medium was, of course, English, etc., and broken Hindi, Hindustani, etc. And there were Maharashtrians also living over there.
ये आप पूना की बात कर रहे हैं?
जी हाँ, पूना की बात।
जी, पूना में जब आपकी पढ़ाई पूरी हुई,
जी हाँ,
तो फिर इसमें नाटकों में आपका कैसे आना हुआ?
Every Jesuit school always had a drama department. Always had a drama department. They prided themselves in that. And therefore, Father Ricklin, who was the head of St. Vincent's High School, where I was a student, he would himself conduct all the rehearsals, etc. there. He would provide the music also because there's a school orchestra. And there were students from the school who provided the orchestra. And therefore, that was a very rich kind of a cultivation of taste in so many different modes of communication.
तो आपने कौन सा प्ले सबसे पहली बार किया?
They were first one-act plays because you were a young student and you did not have the energy, etc., and the capacity to do a 3-act play or a 4-act play and the rest of it. And then later on, of course, the Jesuits saw to it that as we went along, the standard improved. It became better and better and better and better, so that over a period of time you could quite easily do Shakespeare also in the language in which you were taught.
फिर आप ड्रामा स्कूल कैसे पहुंचे यहाँ, नेशनल स्कूल ऑफ ड्रामा में?
In Bombay, I did a large number of plays in the English language through Parsi organizations, because the Parsis were very fond of the theatre, and they would put on plays. Quite frequently, they were influenced by Hollywood, and they were influenced by cheaper comedies and the rest of it. I was interested in the classics. And then over a period of time, I began to realize what were the weaknesses in the kind of work that we were doing. It was important for me to find my roots in the classics of any culture that I was investigating. And my father had provided a complete library for it. So on the one hand, we had a library of Arabic books and so on, which we were taught with the Arabic teacher. And then on the other hand, there was a complete room full of books. And you will see this continued over here. I'd welcome you to go to any one of these cupboards, etc., that you find over here, and you find everywhere there's nothing but books and books and books and books. When Father Rickland found that my interest in the theatre was so great, he said, Al-Qazi, you must go to England now. So after finishing my school course, etc., I took the boat and I went to England, and I was received there with open arms. It was absolutely fantastic.
फिर राडा से होते हुए आप दिल्ली पहुंचे?
दिल्ली आ गया, जी हाँ, और वहाँ मैंने काफ़ी काम शुरू किया. And then there were very few theatres, actual theatres showing works on the stage, and therefore I felt that I needed to have a theatre of my own. And I was helped a great deal. The Prime Minister, they heard about the reputation that I had also been to England, that in England I was supported a great deal. Now in England I was not only supported that way, and they wanted me to come to Delhi, and they had run out of people, and they didn't find the people who were working with them in the theatre good enough, etc. And they invited me, and they gave me carte blanche, unrolled a carpet in front of me, and they requested me to take charge of the theatre. Therefore that opened up, because that opened up their entire library to me. And as I mentioned to you, their library was very good.
तो जब आप दिल्ली पहुंचे,
जी हाँ,
तो थिएटर का क्या सीन था?
There were 2 or 3 theatres which were set up as theatres in Delhi. But those people had no idea of the theatre. They were just put up for comedies, for light plays, and so on. They had no sense of the dramatic elements of theatre and how to utilize them on the stage, how to utilize them in terms of the space, in terms of lighting, and so on. I was also lucky in this, that at that time, Panditji was the Chief Minister. What was his name? Or what is it called? The highest position was the Prime Minister. He was the Prime Minister, and he came to one of the plays over there. He was flabbergasted. He was absolutely astounded, and he encouraged me in every way. In every way, he provided opportunities for me after this thing was done. So I had half a dozen such structures. Apart from such structures in my backyard, I had in the open ground over there, I had a whole tree. Under the tree, I built platforms. On the platforms were the actors, etc. So you could create theatre, and above that is the sky. You see, and then after when you're doing these plays, and Panditji comes to see your plays, etc., and other people of that kind of quality come and see the plays, and everybody says, "Ah, there must be something in that. Let us go and see those plays." And therefore you play to full houses, and this is how you do it.
और कौन-कौन से actors थे उस ज़माने में जो
All the
आपके
best
साथ?
actors that you have mentioned just now are amongst the actors there.
Better you mention them.
Well, let me try and remember them.
Yeah.
Remember them by name. I can give you their names. Yes.
Manohar Singh.
Manohar Singh, yes, was one of the biggest actors. One of the finest actors was Manohar Singh. Absolutely. And therefore, the good actors also set an example to the others.
Nasiruddin Shah.
Nasiruddin, of course. Nasiruddin Shah was.
Om Puri.
Many of these people, yes, Om Puri was there, yes. All these names that you are mentioning, they were the top actors there. And then when they went to Bombay and into the film industry, they were given big roles, fine roles. They made reputations for themselves there.
लेकिन आपने तो उनको नाटक सिखाया और वो फिल्में करने लग गए?
जी हाँ. It's not very difficult to go from the natak to the film. It is more difficult to go from the film to the natak.
And he has produced so many mini Al-Qazis. All of us somewhere are behaving like Mr. Al-Qazi. The discipline, the way he used to talk, the way he used to act also. He's a great actor.
Realizing that there are lots of students who come from rural backgrounds and don't know how to use Western toilets. while explaining to us when we took over the hospital, the hostel, he sat on a chair and demonstrated how to sit on a Western seat. Now, it may offend, somebody's sensibility, but it didn't mind.
We had this representative of the mess who was a third-year student. So I said, Ajay, is there any papa today? He said, no. I said, is there any mirch? He said, no. I said, dahi? He said, no. I said, zahar hai. So he got offended and he called up Mr. Al-Qazi. I didn't know that he had called up Mr. Al-Qazi. And next day when I went to my school, Mr. Al-Qazi met me outside. He said, you come to my office. And he called that other boy also, and he said, he opened his briefcase. He said, eat this. So I said, what is it? It was a white powder. I said, what is this? He said, you keep asking for poison, so I've got something like this for you. It was that glucose powder. So I said, sir, what are you? I was just joking. He said, certain people don't have sense of humor. So you must not joke with them.
फिर नाटक कौन करेगा अगर सब लोग नाटक सीख कर फिल्मों में चले जाएं?
That was also a thing that they used to do. It was not that they gave up the stage, etc., completely, and they only did that. Not at all. They developed. Then when we were doing a Japanese play, for example, which was translated into Hindustani, we got a person from Japan who was doing their operas and so on, and he was absolutely flabbergasted by the quality of our students, and he did a Japanese play in Delhi in my theatre in a magnificent kind of way. Then we had French play dealing with the French Revolution, and there too. And when things like that started to happen, as they're happening even now, all the people representing foreign governments, the top people over there, would come and see the plays. And then they would insist, they would request, they would beg that these productions be taken to England, be taken to France, be taken to Italy. See, we got a truly international reputation. Then I had to provide a hostel for these children. You call them children, they were grown-up men, etc. They could look after themselves and so on. It never occurred to a person who is putting up the National School of Drama in Delhi that you don't just put an old sort of building, etc., up over there and leave it to the dogs, etc. It was ridiculous. They had no idea as to how to construct a dramatic setting which would be perfectly all right for an Indian classical play, perfectly all right for a Western modern play, all right for dance, all right for Indian performances and so on of dance and music and the rest of it. So it served all these purposes. But then they have to have a place to live, and the place should not be very far away. So if it is within 10 minutes walking distance from your theatre, fine, it's wonderful. So like this, then you began to train the minds of the actors also in providing a discipline for themselves. So they began to conduct their own rehearsals, knew how to conduct their own rehearsals. So tremendous. And it provided for them a new livelihood when they went to Bombay. It was also always the students of the National School of Drama who were given first standing, the students of the National School of Drama, because they had been trained. That is despite me, it's not because of me, it is despite me.
जब आप अपनी ज़िंदगी की किताब के सफ़े पलटते हैं तो वो कौन से सफ़े हैं जहां आप जाकर रुक जाते हैं और कहते हैं यही सबसे चमकदार दिन थे?
National School of Drama. Why? Because over a period of time, because I had also to train them to be regular, to be on time, to be very strict with their own training that they had, etc. Rehearsals were extremely important. That they had to arrange the stage themselves even before they acted in front of that setting and the rest of it. But they had a fantastic atmosphere. Now, for example, when we were doing a play which was based on the French Revolution, and you had this big structure so that the knife came down to take off the head of the person who was already there. We had almost a tragedy. The whole thing, the entire thing collapsed, and you can imagine a big razor like that coming down. And everybody was, in a way, outside, glad, there's Al-Qazi's theatre, gone to hell, gone to hell, gone to hell, gone to hell. We took these people and we rushed with them to hospital. And there were about a dozen of these people, and it was already in the middle of the night. We had finished by 9 o'clock. The performance had been over by 9 o'clock. By about 10 o'clock, we had got them to the hospitals, etc. And I got my son-in-law, who was a doctor himself, to come to the hospital and to find out how much damage has been done, who are the people who would be very seriously hurt, etc., etc. They said it was more shock than anything else. It was a sigh of relief that I heaved. So it is that, these things, and these are the situations also that bring people together, that make them work together as brothers, as members of the same family, and that open the whole thing to you. And when we did plays based on the French Revolution, the French ambassador came to see it, he was absolutely flabbergasted. This kind of thing, where the West has been flabbergasted by what we have done, been so great that almost every exhibition, serious exhibition that we put on photography in India is taken by them at their expense to England, to France, to Italy, to wherever it may be, returned to us, etc., etc., in impeccable condition, the rest of it, because the reputation has gone spread all over. And therefore now we have two setups. I felt it was very important for me to have a center, and therefore I set up a center. I bought an entire building. It was not a very large building, but it was an attractive building. And I cleaned it up, I dressed it up and so on, and I made the whole of the collection there. Now, for example, take a very simple thing like this. All right, we are doing the history of photography in India, and we're going around looking for old photographs. Okay, what the hell, we're looking around for old photographs. But what are the cameras that they used? And when you go to Bombay, you'll find almost an entire lane which is completely full of old cameras. And therefore, if you want to evoke and create the history of the past, then you've got to know all the other elements that went into the creating of that. And therefore I said, so today what do we have? We have one of the most important collections of cameras, of old cameras. Homai Vyarawala is a Parsi lady.
I know.
And she documented a great deal of important historical moments in the interrelationship between India and the British during our own struggle for independence. And there were dozens and dozens and dozens of very strong, powerful photographs. And I found that it was an epic summary of what the struggle for independence meant in India. And when the British saw this exhibition that we had put up, they were so stunned that they insisted that we take it all over India. And we took it all over India. And along with that, whenever you have a collection of photographs that because if you go to Bombay, there are about 2, 3 or 4 narrow streets which have these old kind of things, old gramophone records and gramophone players, etc., and gramophones themselves, etc., old cameras and the rest of it. So if you spend a sufficient amount of time and you know the technological aspect of it, then you make a full sort of creation of that. Now, over a period of time, first the Westerners used to laugh at us, thinking that we did not know how to put up exhibition, the rest of it.
अभी आप ये जो प्लेस होते हैं दिल्ली में वो आप देखते हैं?
जी हाँ, नहीं.
कब से?
मुझे फुर्सत नहीं मिलती.
कब से आपने प्लेस नहीं देखे होंगे?
नहीं, I can't say, about 2 or 3 years, that's all.
लास्ट प्ले जो आपने देखा होगा जो बहुत अच्छा लगा वो कौन सा था?
मैं मुझे नहीं बता सकता हूँ. What was the plays? I don't quite remember.
जो अभी कॉन्टेम्परेरी थिएटर है उससे आपको क्या उम्मीदें हैं? कुछ अच्छा काम हो रहा है?
नहीं, हो रहा होगा, ज़रूर होगा. Because there is much better talent, there is trained talent, there are people who know what direction is, there are people who know how to design costumes, how to cut costumes, how to tailor costumes, how to dress different characters in different colors and different materials, etc., etc. So all that basic knowledge has been like an encyclopedia. They understand it, they know it.
आपके साथ 2 प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स का बड़ा क्लोज कनेक्ट रहा, पंडित नेहरू और बाद में इंदिरा गांधी भी, लेकिन थिएटर अर्बन मिडिल क्लास से बाहर नहीं निकल पाया और आज भी जो 70% आबादी है हिंदुस्तान की उसे नहीं मालूम कि तुगलक क्या है, अंधा युग क्या है, रक्त कल्याण क्या है.
No, but that is their fault. That is their fault because these plays have been traveling. They've been traveling all over. And we are invited all over the country. As a matter of fact, we are invited even abroad to do Indian plays now. So that restriction which the British at one time had because of the lack of knowledge of the Indian languages, But now that has been removed. They don't bother about that.
अगर इंडियन थिएटर की हिस्ट्री को देखें तो आपको एक दौर दिखता है संस्कृत क्लासिकल नाटकों का जिसमें कालिदास, भास वगैरह के नाटक हैं, एक पूरा दौर है।
जी हाँ, बिल्कुल।
दूसरा दौर अगर आप याद कर सकते हैं तो वाजिद अली शाह और भारतेंदु का ज़माना है।
बेशक।
और एक तीसरा दौर जिसमें इप्टा और एनएसडी के साथ इब्राहिम अलकाजी का नाम आता है। अगर तो अब इन तीन अलग अलग पीरियड्स के बाद ये कोई नया दौर ऐसा आएगा जिसे किसी ट्रेंड के साथ याद किया जाएगा?
यकीनन।
वो क्या होगा? आपको दिखता है कि थिएटर में क्या हो रहा है ऐसा नया जिसे कोई लैंडमार्क
काम? We can pick up the students who have already done great work in theatre and say this person can do it, that person can do it, that person can do it. Yes, certainly. They have learnt a great deal. It's fine, marvelous.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया।
शुक्रिया
आपका साहब।
हाँ, मुझे एक बार मारा था भाई साहब ने। मुझे तो लगता था, वो कहते थे यार इस आदमी क्या सिखा, क्यों आ गया ये, कुछ इस तरह भी उन्होंने कहा, लेकिन मैं जानता था कि वो तकलीफ देकर मुझे सिखाना चाहते हैं।
We all were sitting in his class with Western drama. He walked in with a couple of books in his hand and he looked at the class and he left the books on the table and walked out. So we all looked at each other, what happened? He came back after 2 minutes with a bottle of perfume and he sprayed perfume all over the room, and finally he just at random picked up one student, went to his socks and sprayed a little perfume on the socks. Now he just wanted to make a little comment that look, I mean there is some foul smell, so look after yourself.
His is the biggest name in Indian theatre. Actors like Nasiruddin Shah, Om Puri and Anupam Kher consider him the next best thing to God. You're best known for the incredible work you did revitalizing the National School of Drama and the plays that you staged there. But is that the achievement you'd like to be remembered by?
I think so. It's largely the work that I did for theatre as a whole, not only at the National School of Drama, though the work that I did at the National School of Drama was on a much larger scale than that what I was able to achieve in Bombay. But I think that you have to take the totality of a man's career. And I don't think it was only in the field of theatre that I did a considerable amount of work. It was also in the field of contemporary art.
You know, you said of the National School, the school has done more for the cultural and emotional integration of the country than any other single body. Now, is that a parent fondly exaggerating, or did you really mean it?
No, well, I meant it certainly, otherwise I wouldn't have said it. But on the other hand, after all, here you are, you get young people, boys and girls from all over the country coming to an institution which has been looked down upon. Their parents frown upon their wanting to go into the theatre. They think it's merely a matter of, you know, dancing and cavorting, etc., etc.
This is bourgeois middle class taste.
Yes, indeed. Well, it's a Nachna Gana kind of attitude that they have to the theatre. And you realize that they've come from such a variety of backgrounds to meld them into something that could participate in the program of a national institution. What makes the National School of Drama truly national? And then what then are the tremendous responsibilities that fall on your shoulder? Within a period of 3 years, to make them people who will not only reveal their own talent, but are able to lead others in their respective regions.
But the amazing thing is that when you were first offered the directorship way back in 1962, you weren't very keen to take it on. You were almost fighting shy of it, in fact.
Well, no. The thing is, I was offered the job in 1954 because I had prepared a scheme for the National School of Drama.
So 8 years before you got it, you were offered it as well?
Yes, I was. I was offered it before that because I had conceived the scheme for the National School of Drama in 1954 when Ashfaq Hussain, who was the secretary in the Ministry of Education, asked me to do that. And he offered me the job, but you don't take a job that you yourself have, you know, sort of worked out.
It felt improper?
No, it's not. It was not a question of propriety. I was not ready for the job.
Too young?
I was too young. I didn't have the administrative experience and so on. And so while you can conceive of a thing, how to carry it out, and particularly in terms of the bureaucracy that obtains in Delhi, That's a different matter altogether.
But interestingly, even in 62, when you were 8 years older, you didn't jump at it. You took a couple of months at least, if not a whole year, to make up
No,
your
I
mind.
didn't take a year to do that. Look, after all, there's a matter of loyalties. I'd worked in Bombay from the 1940, late 40s onwards. I had a tremendous following in Bombay, both the people actually participating in my productions as well as with the public. The question was, here is such a tremendous amount of support and enthusiasm which has been generated for you and as a result of your work. Are you going to ditch them? Are you really going to turn your back on them? Are you going to walk out on them
So you couldn't
merely
tear
because you
yourself
wanted to
away?
pursue? I couldn't. It was difficult for me to tear myself away. Besides, my task in Bombay had not been completed.
There was also something else. The NSD itself was in a very shabby, if not decrepit and run-down condition. I gather when you actually started, you virtually had to clean the loos.
I do that in any case. I do that in any case. I clean the loos at home. I had to clean the loos in another sort of home that I walked into. And I think that's very important.
But there was
I think it's part of your culture. It's extremely important. That is also, incidentally, what Homi Bhabha did.
He cleaned
did
the loos of the Atomic
No,
Center.
he saw to it that they were clean. You see? He saw to it that they were clean.
But in this case, you were virtually photographed by the Times of India when they came to interview
I was
you.
not abashed by that, because I think that there's a certain ground roots element in theatre. There's a certain sort of rootedness and earthiness in the work that you do. And unless your inspiration and unless your concept of work in the theatre starts from there, I don't think that you can create fine work. You can't. You have to create an atmosphere. You have to work within salubrious surroundings, and surroundings which are helpful to your creative imagination and for the people who are participating in it.
But you know, it's amazing. You may have begun by cleaning the loos, but it didn't take you very long to change the whole place, because your first play, Ashad Ka Ek Din, was a roaring success. Looking back now, 40-odd years later, why do you think it clicked so instantly?
Because it was different. It was different from the type of Hindi theatre that prevailed.
What sort of theatre prevailed?
Well, it was, you know, unfortunately, people always look down on their audiences, and they think that they need to play down to their audiences. Nothing of the kind at all. They have to improve their own standards. They have to pick good plays. They've got to do them in a highly professional manner and with a considerable degree of intelligence, etc. Communicate them to their audiences. They've got to build up audiences. So the theatre is not merely something that takes place on the stage. It is a communication between the players on the stage and the audience, and they're working together as participants in a larger community of a city and of the nation as a whole.
But it also sounds as if you actually took the theatre audience in the capital completely by surprise. You stunned them by showing them theatre of a sort they'd never seen before.
Well, I think that I had certain advantages, quite frankly. I had the advantage of having done my work in Bombay. I had the advantage then of having been, what shall I say, having achieved a certain degree of professionalism in stage design, say, for example. In my wife, a brilliant costume designer, say, and in lighting, etc. All those are elements that went into the success of that rather lyrical, subdued, low-key production of a very sensitive script, Ashad Ka Ek Din, which seemed to be dealing with the life of Kalidas, but was ostensibly, but was in reality, I realized, an autobiographical piece by Mohan Rakesh.
Now, shortly thereafter, you moved the National Theatre to the place where it is today, Rabindra Bhavan, and people who were with you at the time say they realized that you were more than just a theatre director. It's apparently the case that you virtually built the famous open-air studio with your own hands.
No, I did two things. I built, to begin with, a studio theatre, I broke down the wall, and can you imagine doing that to a CPWD building in this country?
Did the government object?
No, because I had Habib Rahman, the architect, who was with me, and he agreed. And so there was nothing that the government could do about it.
This was the famous theatre on the third floor?
On the third floor at Rabindra Bhavan. It's a small studio theatre for intimate performances, so that the actor's performance could be almost looked at microscopically, you know. So when you're at this kind of a distance from the actor, there's nothing that the actor can do to simulate emotions and the rest of it. He has to be absolutely within the role.
And then came the famous open-air one.
And then we built it all with our own hands. And you had all the people, the entire population of Rabindra Bhavan at all the windows, watching the director of the National School of Drama with a tasla and so on his head, carrying, you know, earth from one part of the thing to the other, and putting up the theatre,
In fact,
erecting the theatre.
they tell a lovely story about how you were particularly keen about the chairs. Apparently you designed them and they cost a phenomenal 34 rupees.
They were chairs that we designed, yes. They were designed and executed in the workshop. And this is just to show you, our craftsmen are absolutely brilliant. And then in 1964, to be able to turn out chairs which cost you 34 rupees each, and which are absolutely in pristine condition, I'd invite you to go and see them yourself. It's incredible.
Why was it so important for you to do all this? Was this something that you believed would give the theatre the imprint and shape you wanted? Or was it simply that no one else would come and help?
No, this is a totality. The whole thing holds together. Everything holds together. It's not merely the performance on the stage. It's not merely the setting and so on. It's the very approach of the people into a theatre. It's the manner in which they're treated, the manner in which they're greeted at the box office, the courtesy and so on with which they're shown to their seats, the atmosphere which is generated in the auditorium.
And you were
before the
determined to
performance
control the whole thing.
Yes, indeed, you have to. You have to do it.
Now something else that you began, which at the time was quite novel but today seems natural, is you began staging plays with Delhi's magnificent historical monuments as backdrops. When you did it the first time, how did Delhi react to this idea?
Well, I think it took them by surprise. It took them by surprise. I was able to do it, first of all, because I used all the students in the National School of Drama, all the 75 students then in the National School of Drama. Therefore, it was a large cast. It was a magnificent play, Andha Yug, by Dharamveer Bharti, regarded only as a radio script, and then I showed it, presented its stage worthiness. It was against the magnificent battlements of Feroz Shah Kotla, and as it happened, just by chance, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru came to see it, and along with him into well, the doyens of the diplomatic corps, and all the hoi polloi, etc., all the politicians and the rest. And so it worked. It worked. It was a tremendous success. Also, it was a theme from the Mahabharata which captured the popular imagination.
So the setting was absolutely perfect.
Indeed, it was not. It is the setting was absolutely magnificent. And you know, what can you create artificially to simulate those kind of surroundings? There's already the history there in the background.
You know, your students say that the most important thing about studying under Ibrahim Al-Qazi was his attitude to teaching. There's a story they tell that I'd love you to confirm. They say that you once said to them, if a class is boring, you have my permission to walk out.
Indeed, I did that, yes, absolutely. Absolutely, because I wanted to improve the standard of the staff as a whole.
But weren't you scared that you might undermine the teaching profession itself?
No, on the contrary, they had to rise to the occasion. They had to rise to these responsibilities. They had to rise to these challenges. And that is what is so remarkable in the theatre, that the theatre is always new. The theatre is always contemporary. The theatre is always leading you into the future. And therefore you have to carry the whole thing with you.
Was that the secret, that you inspired people by setting challenges that they had to rise up to attain?
I had to impose challenges on myself. There were challenges to which I had to rise on the personal level, dealing with the personal problems of students, their personal psychological problems, their emotional problems. After all, they came to me at an impressionable age. They came from varied backgrounds. Some of them were peasants. Most of them were people who had been rejected by their own society, rejected by their own families, coming to the National School of Drama against the wishes of their parents.
So you weren't just teaching them to be actors, you were virtually giving them back the confidence they'd lost.
It was necessary to build a national movement, and it was necessary to do that from scratch, a movement which started with the mind, with the emotion, with the intellect, with the imagination, and with the understanding that a tremendous responsibility devolves on you in the theatre.
So today then, when you look at actors like Naseeruddin Shah, Anupam Kher, Om Puri, do you do it with a certain measure of proprietorial pride? Do you see the stamp of Al-Qazi on them?
No, I don't need people to show me the stamp of myself. I would be embarrassed by that, quite frankly. I'm very proud of the work that a person like Ratan Thiem does, which is nothing like what I did. I'm very proud of what a person in Assam like Dulal Roy does. I'm tremendously proud of what Prema Karanth did in Karnataka and so on. And I think my pride is in what they have been able to do on their own without my presence.
So your pride lies in giving them the confidence to find their own best and to be able to do it at their best.
To discover themselves and to share that with as large as audience as possible.
Tell me something. Right at the very peak of your time at the NSD, you'd been there admittedly 15 years, but everyone said that you were going to be there forever and ever. You suddenly upped and left. What happened? Did you get bored? Did the challenge fade away? Or did you decide you wanted to leave at your prime and not watch yourself whittle down?
No, to begin with, I didn't want to shuffle out of my job. Too many people had come to me wanting extensions. Each time a person turned the age of 58, he'd knock at my door and come and plead with me, asking me for an extension. There was a human problem to begin with, but then on the other hand, there was the problem of revitalizing the institution. And my responsibility was my students and to the art form, to which I was geared. At the same time, I wanted to get on and discover new things in myself. And for example,
challenges. You
yes,
needed
absolutely.
new challenges.
I needed them in the field of contemporary art. I grew up with the contemporary Indian artists, with Hussain, with Francis Newton Sousa, Tayyab Mehta, Akbar Padamsee, and so on.
So this is when you gave up being director and decided to promote Indian contemporary art in the West.
Indeed. Oh.
There was something else you used to do. I gather your favorite haunt as a child was to visit something called the International Book Depot in Pune.
It's fabulous. It is a part of my education. It is extraordinary, how some of these, I can't really call them organizations, but here was a bookshop. It was like Shakespeare and Company, say, for example, in Paris, during the 20s and the 30s when Joyce, etc., were there. Here it was absolutely incredible. Incidentally, I had to steal away from home because it was in Pune city, and Pune city was out of bounds for us. And when I went over there, I was regaled with a colossal sort of a cross-section of the finest in contemporary literature. Aldous Huxley, D.H. Lawrence, James Joyce. They were just writing at that time. This is something in the late 30s. It is an incredible experience.
So as
and
you
in the
read-
background, there were all the great names in the background, meaning palpably in front of my eyes and in my hearing, there were all the great names in Marathi literature there in this bookshop,
So as-
vociferously expressing their views and so on.
So with each visit to the bookshop, you were actually educating yourself.
Indeed, indeed. I always built up libraries. I have about 8 libraries in different parts of the world. I mean, I'm obsessed with books.
Now, it was when you went to St. Xavier's, Bombay, that your real talent, love, fascination for the theatre blossomed. What was there about the college that gave you this opportunity to become
More
yourself?
than the college, it was this man, Sultan Padamsee, who later was to be my brother-in-law. He was an incredible person. He was the closest to the idea of genius that I have ever come to in my life, and this has been the experience also of others. He combined the talents of an Orson Welles and the majesty and so on, and the presence of an Orson Welles with the authority and the largesse of a Diaghilev. He had these qualities of the impresario which were absolutely incredible and fantastic, and within a matter of 3 years in Bombay, he made the Indian theatre stand on its head. He did incredible productions long before Orson Welles came out with his Macbeth. The Macbeth of Sultan Padamsee was something absolutely incredible.
So, to use journalistic speak, behind the imprint of Alkazi, is there the imprint of Sultan Padamsee?
Unfortunately, it was too brief a spell, unfortunately. He died. He died within 3 years. He committed suicide, very sadly. And the burden of running the theatre group fell on me and fell on 2 other individuals, Derek Jeffries and Hamid Sayani. And incidentally, the 3 of us married 3 Padamsee sisters. So there you had also the family bond.
But the interesting thing is that when a couple of years later you left for England, it was actually not drama that you'd gone to study, but painting. You were going to the Royal College of Arts. How did you then end up at RADA?
Well, when I went, I really went to an institution called the Anglo-French Arts Center, because it said that people like Fernand Léger from Paris, people like Henri Matisse were going to teach at these institutions. A person like Jean Lorsa, who was a tapestry man, also would travel and teach, etc. over there. But unfortunately, the mood in all these institutions after World War II was completely different. It was far too relaxed. It was, it lacked the discipline. It lacked the hard work. I suppose the World War II had taken too much out of the British people.
So disillusionment with RCA took you to RADA?
I passed through Gower Street, and as I turned, I saw the Royal
Academy of Dramatic Arts.
the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. And I said, oh my God, this is Royal Academy. And I walked up the steps quite casually, and I said, do you think that I could join this institution? They said, well, we've closed our auditions and interviews and so on. However, they went to Sir Kenneth Barnes, the principal, and they asked here is this black boy from India and so on. Would you consider him? And he gave me an interview a week later.
And you're in?
I was in, and he stood by me right through my 2.5 years at the Royal Academy.
You know, those weren't the easiest 2.5 years. You were never really with a lot of money.
No. We were impecunious. I lived with Nissim Ezekiel.
Lived might be a metaphor. You even had to share his bed in the innocent sense of the term.
It is a licit sense of the term. Yes, absolutely. Because these other sort of fashionable sort of tendencies didn't exist at that time, or they were just about to make themselves felt. And well, Nissim worked at the Indian High Commission, where Krishna Menon then was High Commissioner, and later on Francis Newton Sousa joined us, and after that my wife.
So you were a threesome, you,
right.
Sousa and Nissim
Absolutely.
Ezekiel.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
How much of the Ibrahim Al-Qazi that the world acknowledged in the 60s, 70s and 80s is a creation of these 2.5 years in London?
I learnt a great deal in London. I learnt a great deal about treating people who had a certain amount of creative imagination. To Sir Kenneth Barnes, for example. I mean, the latitude that he gave me. I wanted to be a director. I wanted to study direction. There was no direction course. He saw to it that I went to outside institutions and considered that to be part of my training at the Royal Academy. He supported me to the hilt. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. I had an exhibition at the Leicester Gallery. The Leicester Gallery, right in Leicester Square at that time, was famous because it had projected the work of people like Henry Moore and the rest of it. I was amazed at the turnout. I wrote to Henry Reed, to Herbert Reed, and he came to the opening. I wrote to Victor Passmore, and he came to the opening. And they supported me, and they helped me, and they encouraged me. I'd never had that kind of encouragement before or since in this country. I've never had it.
When you then took up the NSD many, many years later, to what extent were you trying to be what all these people had earlier been to you?
I felt it was very important for me to be able to recognize talent and to encourage it and to give it every support. And the support that you need to give people over here in this country is far more than monetary support. It's not the money that counts. It's to bring out the steel which is in them.
Do you think you've succeeded by and large?
I don't know, really. I think to a certain extent, I am proud of my students. I think that they've done me proud. But I think that the problems of this country are vast, are enormous. You know, under the shadow of what I'm speaking to you today. Where is my theatre? Where is my work in relation to what is happening to our country? That is something that I ask myself.
কাজী যে শুধু একজন থিয়েটার ডিরেক্টর ছিলেন বা ভালো অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেটর ছিলেন তাই নয়, তিনি ছিলেন পেইন্টার। তার পেইন্টিং এবং স্কাল্পচার এবং ডিজাইনের এক্সিবিশনের একটা ভিডিও আপনাদের সঙ্গে শেয়ার করতে চাইব। কারণ আমি বারবার বলেছি, থিয়েটার এমন একটা শিল্প যেখানে এই দৃশ্যকলার বা অন্যান্য শিল্পকলার অত্যন্ত সংযোগ রয়েছে থিয়েটারের সঙ্গে। এবং মিস্টার আল-কাজি তার এই পেইন্টিং এবং স্কাল্পচার জানার তার যে এই কোয়ালিটিটা, এটা কিন্তু বারবার তার থিয়েটারে প্রতিফলিত হয়েছে। আমরা দেখে নিই তার এক্সিবিশনের একটা ভিডিও। কথা শুনলাম, আজ এপিসোডটা অনেক বড় হয়েছে, আমি কথাও খুব বেশি বলিনি, শুনতে চেয়েছি মানে ওনার কথাগুলো, যেগুলো আমাদের কাছে প্রত্যেকটা কথাই এক একটা বইয়ের মতো। তো আজ আর সময় নেব না, আজকের এপিসোড এখানেই শেষ করব। যদি মনে হয় যে আমাদের এই সিরিজ থিয়েটারের কোনো কাজে আসছে, আপনাদের কোনো কাজে লাগছে, তাহলে প্লিজ সাবস্ক্রাইব করুন এবং বন্ধুদের বলুন। আমরা পরের এপিসোডে আবার থিয়েটারেরই এরকম একটা বিষয় নিয়ে চলে আসব। ভালো থাকবেন।